What if my passion doesn't pay for my bills? And the most important question you have to ask yourself if that's the situation you're finding yourself in. So this video is for everybody who sort of have already discovered what it is that they love doing and what they're good at, but at the same time are having this really uncomfortable feeling that they're insecure around whether or not this can finance themselves. We at the ARC obviously massively advocate following your passion, which we define as the overlap between the things that you really love doing and the things that you're really good at, your talent or any acquired skills. And we believe that if you manage to put that into your job, or if you even manage to make that your job, you're going to be so much better off. Not only are you going to be really loving what you will be doing, but also you're a much better leader, because being so much happier, you can actually afford to make decisions that are good for yourself and for others. So that's kind of like the basic assumption. We are massive fans of following your passion. Now, having said that, in reality, there are often challenges related to this. Why? Because oftentimes there is simply no market for that one magic passion of ours. The market rewards not necessarily, what you love doing and what you're good at, but it rewards scarcity and perceived value. So if you are very good at knitting these fantastic scarves, but nobody perceives those scarves as amazing as you do, or if there are simply a lot of other people doing this, you're obviously encountering a little challenge, There's a second problem, and that is a problem also a lot of people are incurring, and that is you might have the most amazing product, so people might love and adore your scarves and basically think of your scarves as being completely life-changing, but they just don't know. The majority of people just doesn't know that you're producing this amazing product or service. So in any of these cases, following your passion might just lead you into a direction where you are both unhappy and broke. And as we say, if your passion does not finance you a lifestyle that you are really, really loving, you will start sabotaging that very own passion of yours. Still, what we'd say is heading into a direction that you really love and where the things are that you're really good at is amazing. But if you at the same time are choosing to make this the basis of your living, there's going to be one very important question that you have to ask yourself. Because hacking, reinventing, and optimizing this, what we call the magic triangle, i.e. the things that you love doing, the things that you're great at, and the things that you can monetize is something that requires a lot of smarts and a lot of courage, because you have to take a very honest look around what are, the things that I can produce with my bare hands that are so valuable to others that they would take their money, put it out of their pockets, and shovel it directly into mine. And hence, the most important question is not, what am I passionate about? Because here's the thing, if you start brainstorming, you will come up with answer. You will know the stuff that you're good at, the stuff that you love doing. The most important question is also not, do I want to make this my job? Because the answer is, hell yes. The most important question is, what are you willing to sacrifice on that journey of hacking this magic triangle? How much negative feedback are you willing to bear? How much, financial loss and financial risk are you willing to take on your shoulders? Are you that kind of person who would put a mortgage on their house, or are you someone who, before that happens, you would actually find a job? How much sleep deprivation can you handle, right? It is much more than just deciding this is what I want. It is more about making an educated choice about how much are you willing to invest. Because here's why. When you decide to make your passion your job, you are going to enter into a very different way of thinking. And I call this the passion thinking and the job thinking for now. So when you're in thinking A, passion thinking, it's really just around creating the most amazing side project that you can ever imagine. You don't have to be paid for doing the stuff that you're passionate about. You know, your passion doesn't have to be something that you can make money with. In that definition that I love so much, you know, where your passion is the overlap of the things that you love doing and the things you're really great at, there's no talking about any monetization. However, as soon as you make that a triangle and you say, hey, I'm now also going to make this my job, you're going to be entering a very different sort of thinking, you know, job thinking, where you are not optimizing anymore that sort of overlap between those two things, what you love doing and what you're great at, but also between what other people want. What is the perceived value and the perceived scarcity of that one thing that you're producing or the one service you are providing? And this is when you have to take into account what other people are thinking. And sometimes this may lead you to a situation where you have to compromise your values. And you might be faced with a choice, you know, am I compromising my values, or am I following truthfully the path that I have sort of chosen for myself, but incur a certain cost, for instance, that I don't manage to sell as many products or services, right? And this is where these two different ways of thinking are sometimes a little bit conflicting, and where it is important that you would have made an educated decision around how much you're willing to sacrifice. So for instance, you know, with my own life, I remember, you know, we started the ARC in 2012, and already at that time, so many people told me, Astrid, quit your job, only do this product is so amazing, everybody has to know about it. And maybe because I was in consulting at the time, I was pretty well aware about how hard and how difficult it is going to be to run a training company and a company that basically offers pretty non-scalable services that are very, very hard to explain. And I was so anxious around it that it took me 5 or rather 6 more years to hack a business plan and really come up with ideas where I would feel comfortable enough to say, okay, if that's what we're going for, we might actually be able to generate an income that satisfies all of us. So I'm actually someone who is massively risk averse, and probably being an entrepreneur is like one of the worst careers I could have put for myself. But I am very grateful that I have put that thinking into, you know, writing the stuff, really trying to figure out who is the target group and getting the business side of things right. Because are we on the easiest path that we could have chosen? No. But, you know, despite all the hardships we are going through right now, are we loving what we're doing? Yes. And are we willing to go down that route and make all of the investments? Yes. So the one thing I want to communicate is, yes, you can figure out ways how you can be paid for your passion and how your passion can be the basis of your living, but it is an art and it sometimes takes a lot of time. And you can bridge that time by being very, very aware about how much are you wanting to invest, what are your boundaries, and what's your sort of safety net that you will choose to create for yourself. So to make a long story short, yes, follow your passion. Follow the stuff that you love and the stuff that you're good at all the freaking time. Sometimes there might not be a very obvious business case behind that one thing that you would call your passion. And, you know, don't beat yourself up for it. Allow yourself to be happy anyways, and potentially just start by creating the most amazing side project for yourself. The ARC has been a hobby for 5 to 6 years, and we just love doing it anyways. And if you choose to make your passion your job, you know, hack. Continue to hack and optimize and reinvent that magic triangle. And just, you know, do it for free. Get feedback and find ways to monetize. Then, last but not least, list your goals. understand your boundaries. Really understand what is the lifestyle you want to create for yourself, how many customers will you have to attract, and what are you willing to invest? What are you willing to sacrifice? And we know this is not an easy journey. We know this is a really hard journey, actually. So just rest assured, if you have questions, put them in the comments, contact us, write us a personal message. And also, of course, the ARC is always by your side. As you know, we organize these boot camps, retreats, events, coachings. And if you feel that you really want to crack on for real, literally just click on this link below. We offer free coffee chats, which are 45 to 60 minutes free coachings, where we will find out together with you what's your bottleneck and whether or not the ARC can support you. With these words, I'm wishing you a fabulous rest of the day, and I'm looking so much forward to seeing you soon and hearing from you soon again. Bye-bye.